Coming in at number 1 is Dune. I was not familiar with Dune. I haven't even read the book. I know nothing about it. I haven't seen the movie. And Denis Villeneuve was directing, and so I was immediately interested. It had a good cast, and so that already had me having good feelings about it. Hans Zimmer's doing the score, my favorite composer, and let me say, it applied, and it is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. And I don't have it yet because obviously it just came out a couple weeks ago, but who knows, I might not be able to same when I get it later, but yeah, that's my number 1. So anyways, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios. Hey. What a year, 2020. Great movies. Hey, you. Oh my god, who are you? I'm you, but from, another universe. Oh my god. Another, another dimension or something like that? Why do you look so, scruffy? Okay, chill out. It's been quite the year. What do you mean by that? This is what I mean by that. Where's your hand sanitizer, idiot? Okay, chill out. Why are you wearing a mask? Good one. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyways, what's your favorite movie of the year? Now, I guess I really don't have a favorite. But to answer your question, Tiger King.
I am not cutting my hair. I'm not changing the way I dress. I refuse to wear a suit. I am gay. I've had 2 boyfriends most of my life. I currently got legally married, thank God. It's finally legal in America. I've had some kinky sex. I have tried drugs through the younger years of my life. I have a judgment against me from some bitch down there in Florida. But I can tell you, I paid a fine with the USDA, and that is nothing but a civil fine, ladies and gentlemen.
Get out. So people say I'm going to be doing a ranking of every single movie I saw in 2020. I saw a total of 21 movies this year. And that does sound like a lot, but, I'd say my average for the last couple of years have been about 45 to 50-ish movies. So 21's pretty low for me because, and given obviously we all know why it's not that many, but I'm going to be dividing it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories. And yeah, the categories are going to be the bad movies, the forgettable movies / the passable, good time, really good, great, and my personal pick, which is just number 1, basically. I was going to do a top 10, but I realized that there'd be movies in the top 10 that I don't think are top 10 worthy, and there's some movies in the top 10 worst which I don't think deserve to be in the top 10 worst. So I'm just ranking all the ones I saw. I figured that would be the easiest way. I thought maybe I should rank the shows I saw this year by season, but I figured that'd be too much analysis. So yeah, but I'd like to take a moment of silence to read this list of all the movies that we didn't see in 2020. A Quiet Place. I had tickets for this, and I was 1 week away from seeing it. Well, we were all 1 week away from seeing it. No Time to Die. Black Widow. Fast and Furious 9. Top Gun. Maverick. Free Guy. Ghostbusters. Morbius. Venom 2. The Eternals. Godzilla vs. Kong. Dune. Halloween Kills. The Kingsmen. And much, much more that I would have seen. And of course there are a lot of movies that I haven't seen this year, but there's no, all the critics are being screened them privately at their houses, and so there's really no way for me to see those, like Nomadland. I really want to see that, and I know there's a bunch of Netflix movies I did see and some that I didn't, so, well, you'll know all the movies I've seen this year once I start the ranking. Coming in at number 21 is the first movie I saw this year, and that was The Turning. starring Finn Wolfhard and some other people. I just remember it being really boring. I only saw this movie once, obviously. It was extremely boring. The movie basically wrote the ending twice and couldn't pick on which one they liked and just kind of said, you know what, we'll go with both endings. I've never seen a movie do that before. And yeah, that's all I want to say about The Turning, because I kind of forgot most of it and I remember it being really bad. Coming in at number 20 is Eurovision, the contest something something saga. Will Ferrell and what's-her-face is trying hard in this movie. Their characters are extremely over the top. I did laugh and chuckle a couple times, but I remember the whole entire second act was completely useless. Literally, nothing happens. Nothing happens in the second act. And wow, it drags. The funniest moments in the movie are during the singing things, but it just takes me out of it when Will Ferrell is so auto-tuned, and the movie was, like I said, only made me laugh a couple times, very forgettable, and was ultimately very eye-rolling. Coming in at number 19 is The New Mutants. Once I first saw this movie, I believe I gave it about a 5.5. That score has lowered a lot because The New Mutants was a first movie, a brand new movie I saw in a long time. And so I guess I was kind of aiming high for that 5.5, even though that movie really isn't that good. The characters are laughable. The funniest part of the movie is the guy that plays Jonathan in Stranger Things. All these characters are so one-dimensioned. All his character has is Cole and his dad. And so one of the pieces of dialogue, he's holding something and says, the dishes guy says, "What's that?" And he says, "Cole." And he says, "Where'd you get it?" He's like, "My dad." That's the most his character gets. That's all you need for his character. That's it. That's how the characters are in this movie. The performances are decent, I guess. The third act is definitely rewritten, as you can definitely see in one of the shots, which has kind of become a meme at this point, and so I think you must have seen it. And so the last movie I have in the bad is Mulan. I thought I would like this movie. I thought it would be good. I thought they were going to go, oh yes, in a new direction. Do something different. And give it a more realistic take. But it just kind of took that direction and slapped me in the face with it. Because the direction that the movie wanted to go for constantly contradicts itself. It wants to get rid of Mushu and get rid of the singing, but they'll add cartoonish action and a little phoenix there, and it just didn't make sense to me. The action in this movie is terrible. There is this, I guess, this weird CG look to it, and I know they had this new thing called Chi, which is really stupid in the movie, and whenever, I guess, the Chi is activated, they have like this weird filter around Mulan's face, and it cracks me up every single time they do it. They add this bird lady in there that they try to do some type of touching message. It just didn't work. They completely ruin and rework the third act of the original movie, and I don't know why they did that. I was very let down by this movie, and yeah. Okay, now we're no longer talking about the bad movies. Now we're talking about the forgettable movies /eh. So, number 17 is Project Power. Great concept, cliche execution in an action movie. How many times are we going to see a movie like this? A movie with good ideas and concepts, but pulled off in the most cliche way. It did everything I did not want out of a concept like that. it was such a missed opportunity, and I was very, very let down. The cast, I guess, does a good job. I know there's a 29-year-old pretending like she's 15 in the movie, which is kind of funny. The action, I don't remember any of it. I honestly cannot remember a single memorable moment in this movie. I know the guy from Inception and Dark Knight's in it. I know he's there. I guess he was good in the movie. He kind of plays, oh, I remember his character. I guess his character was good because I remember it. But yeah, there's a lot of cringy moments in it, and yeah, the CGI was actually a lot better than it should have been for this type of movie. Anyways, coming in at number 16 is The Way Back. Ben Affleck is great in this movie, don't get me wrong. It's just he's really great in a really cheesy, well, not cheesy, a really cliched and forgettable movie that hits all the emotional beats that you'll expect out of a movie like this. It goes in the most cliche way with a great performance by Ben Affleck. And I thought maybe Ben Affleck could maybe push it out of that territory, but I guess he just couldn't, especially since him himself dealt with alcohol problems. It just didn't, he didn't have enough out of his performance to lift this movie for me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Ben Affleck's a problem. He gave a fantastic performance, and if it was a better movie, I would say maybe best actor of the year, or he gave the best performance of this year, but he just was in a forgettable movie, and that's really sad. And yeah, coming in at number 15 is The Hunt, another great idea of an action movie that plays out in a very cliche way. And that part is my biggest problem with the movie. My biggest problem with the movie is that the characters are very, very annoying. Their stereotypes turned up to 11. Very annoying stereotypes turned up to 11. Now you know my political view. Good job, if you've seen the movie. But the action in this was fine. There was some really memorable moments when it came to the action. I remember the way that they integrated the set pieces into the action were very, very well done. And I remember that was cool. All performances are decent. It's just good actors reading annoying material. And yeah, coming in at number 14, which is the last that I have in the forgettable / meh category, and that is Underwater, which is I believe that this was the first movie I saw this year. It was a decent surprise. Even though it was, I don't really remember it that much, but for a January movie, that was decent. I remember there was actually some tense moments in this movie. There was the characters I don't remember. Yeah, definitely failed there. I remember I kind of got some like cool sci-fi stuff out of it that made me go whoa, and we kind of made me rethink some stuff at the end, which was kind of cool. I was always kind of on edge watching this movie, and yeah, it was decent. It wasn't terrible, but I kind of forgot it. Okay, coming in at number 13, and now we're getting into the passable movies. I think they're passable. Like, I can watch it. And number 13 is The Old Guard. This was a better example of cliche, great ideas, but cliche execution. But, yeah, this movie, Charlie's, I can never pronounce this girl's name right, no matter what movie she's in. The main girl, she gives a fantastic performance. The action choreography in this movie is really good. And I love how they do, like, almost a mental deep dive into what it would be like to actually live forever and not be able to die. And I love the way that they represent that in an action movie like that, because we don't really get a lot of movies that do something like that. Like, if in a movie, someone's like, I could live forever, like, I can live. They're like, I can live forever, yay. In this movie, they're like, living forever is terrible. I hate it. And I like how that the movie plays off that. But sadly, the villain in this movie is extremely cliche, and it's actually played by Dudley from Harry Potter. Bet you didn't know that. But yeah, the plot itself was very cliche with great performances, but like I said, cliche execution. But it's one of the better ones, and I could actually watch this movie. Excuse me, I have a cold. Coming in at number 12 is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous something Harley Quinn. When I first saw this movie, I enjoyed it, and I thought it was better than I think of it now. But this movie ultimately does nothing for the DCEU. It didn't feel absolutely necessary, didn't feel like a story to be told, because, and I guess if it wasn't a DCEU movie, it'd be fine, well, it is passable, but it'd be better if it was just its own thing. But this movie clearly makes steps to say, hey, this is part of the DCU. They make it abundant many times. Harley Quinn says, oh yeah, I know that guy. She sees Captain Boomerang. We kind of see Joker in a double, I guess, but they're clearly not just kind of forgetting the other movies, and they're trying to make this connected. And did it feel necessary? No. Was Margot Robbie great as Harley Quinn? Yes. Was Ewan McGregor great? Yes. Was the third act at night and you could barely see anything just because they wanted to save money for CGI? Yes. But the characters, I know the characters themselves besides Margot Robbie were pretty forgettable. I know Huntress was pretty cool when you wanted to see more of her. Black Canary left a good and lasting impression, but I know there's this one character I could not stand. I cannot remember her name, but she's the cop detective where I could not stand her character. She was really annoying, and yeah, there's some, but like I said, the action in this movie, besides in the third act where they go, you can't see anything, minus that, I believe they got one of the stunt coordinators, for John Wick, and it definitely shows in a lot of the action sequences, because when the action shines, it does a really good job, and this movie might have some of the best action we've seen all year. So, yeah, Birds of Prey is at number 12. Coming in at number 11 is probably, I'm surprised I saw this movie, and that is The Lovebirds, or whatever it's called. On paper, this movie, for me, is not that good, but I had a fun time watching it. Obviously, it has a lot of problems. It gets very cliche towards the end, and it becomes quite predictable, actually. But it was very funny. I did actually find myself laughing throughout this movie, and that's what a movie like this is supposed to do. A movie like this was never meant to be perfect. It was never going to be perfect. I never expected it to be perfect. Sorry about that. Camera ran out of storage, but anyways, let's just get on to the next movie. Now we're going to be into the section where I thought these movies were a good time. They're not perfect, but I had a really good time watching them. Coming in at number 10 is Bad Boys for Life. This movie was shockingly good. It was disturbingly good. It's not perfect. I think it was very predictable. But Will Smith and What's-His-Face give a really good performance, and that has some great action that isn't over-stylized because Michael Bay didn't direct this time. The colors in the Michael Bay feel is still there, but it's not dialed up to 11 like Michael Bay likes to do. So when I saw this movie, I thought Michael Bay directed it because it really wasn't on my radar when I went to go see it. And so I was very impressed until the credits started rolling. I was like, oh. But yeah. Anyways, Will Smith, like I said, gives a really good performance to this movie. Like I said, the villain in this movie is some, like, witch girl. It gets kind of weird and doesn't really make much sense. Yeah, it was a lot better than it needed to be. A lot better than it should be. And I actually had a fun time watching it. I remember there's a couple of times in this movie that made my jaw drop, even though I did say that this movie was fairly predictable. I will say it was predictable plot-wise, but there are some moments in the movie where people die that kind of shocked me. But yeah. Anyways, coming in at number 9 is gonna really irritate some people, and that is Wonder Woman 1984. This movie can get really dumb at times, and I will admit, Bad Boys for Life is I think it's technically a better movie. Let's go down the list. I think Lovebirds, well, not maybe Lovebirds, that was more just me. I think Birds of Prey is technically a better movie. I think The Old Guard is technically a better movie. I think Underwater is technically a better movie. The script to Wonder Woman 1984 is atrocious. But I have a really fun time watching it. I'm not going to lie. I've seen it about 3 times now. And crap, I'm not wearing my watch. It's the 30th. It's only been out for 5 days, and I watched it 3 times, and I really enjoy it. Yes, it does get really dumb, but I have a fun time watching it. And that's what really matters, is when you have a fun time watching the movie. Yes, it's cheesy. I enjoyed the cheesiness. Gal Gadot, or Gadot, or whatever it is supposed to be, gives a fabulous performance as Wonder Woman. Chris Pine could have, had a little bit more development, but he served his purpose in the movie. Kristen Wiig gives a fantastic performance with Cheetah. I think they made the cliche version of the wimpy girl becoming strong and powerful. I think they really made it work in this movie. Besides when she became a cheetah, I don't know what they did with that action sequence. But I think Pedro Pascal gave a fantastic performance. Even though his powers don't make that much sense, it does movie logic-wise. I think this movie does get a little too much hate. I don't think it is as bad as people say it is, though I get their problems that they have with it. The golden suit didn't need to be in this movie, but heck, I like looking at it. It's cool. It's gold. The lasso of truth was very, very well used in action sequences. I thought that was cool to see Wonder Woman use her lasso a lot more. And like I said, I enjoyed the cheese. I have a fun time watching it. It's more of a guilty pleasure. But, yeah, sue me. I really like this movie, even though I know it's technically really not that good. But I have a fun time watching it. I'll rest my case. Coming in at number 8 is Extraction. This was shockingly good. I remember this movie was released on Netflix, like, right as the pandemic began. And I remember being shocked watching it, being I was like, this is a pretty good movie. I like the set pieces in this movie of the India culture is really cool, and I like the way that they use that for their action sequences. Chris Hemsworth gives a really strong performance in this movie, a lot better than he needed to be in this movie, but of course he gave his all. He shows the emotions during the action sequences, and they really work. All performances are great. Even the little Indian guy does a really good job in the movie. And yeah, the plot, of course, is very thin itself, but for the type of movie it is, I didn't expect it to be a deep, layered plot. So yeah, Extraction was a really good time. Okay, now we're entering the next section where I think that these movies are really good. And yeah. Anyways, coming in at number 7 is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. In this movie, I can never see myself watching this movie again. But when this movie first ended, I was like, I didn't like that. But the more and more this movie resonated with me, and I understood it more. I had to watch a lot of videos to really understand that. But this movie has a lot of symbolism in explaining things, and I like that now that I understand it. It works very well in the end. It's very much a mental deep dive in the way you don't expect it to be, and it really works. It's really depressing, so it's really not for everyone, but it is a good piece of movie. Coming in at number 6 is Onward. This is not a perfect movie. It's not Pixar's best, but I had a fun time watching it. The story in this one is fairly relatable to me. It's probably the most I'm probably able to relate to a Pixar movie just because of the premise of it. And yeah, Tom Holland and Chris Pine both give fantastic voice performances. It's a fun movie. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about Onward. Coming in at number 5 is probably going to shock some people, and that is The Devil All the Time. This was a Netflix movie released about a couple months ago, and I thought it was really good. I do agree it's a lot of story to unpack, but it is a fairly long movie, and they do a good job explaining it with the runtime that they had. Tom Holland gives a fantastic performance. Who else is in this movie? It's a huge cast. Sebastian Stan's great. Robert Pattinson is really good. It's when you know a movie when an actor gives a great performance is when they become a meme. And Robert Pattinson has kind of become a meme with this movie, and it really worked. It's one of those movies that get under your skin, and it does not hold back, and that's my type of movie right there. It's really good to see Tom Holland do a different type of role than the goody old Spider-Man, and that was really cool to see. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Coming in at number 4. Well, actually, this is when we get into the great movies. I think these movies are great. They're really good. And coming in at number 4 is Soul. This movie was, it really wasn't on my radar. I kind of forgot that they even released it on Disney Plus on Christmas because I was so focused on watching Wonder Woman. But yeah, and then I watched it about a couple days ago, and wow, it's a deep movie. It's probably not really that much for kids, I would say. It's more, this movie I think is the most targeted towards adult Disney Pixar movie out of all the Disney Pixar movies. Jamie Foxx gives a fantastic voice performance. And my biggest complaint about the movie is almost a compliment, where I think it should have been longer. It was about an hour 46, but that's with credits. And when I paused it at the end, there's 16 minutes worth of credits. And so it's an hour and a half movie. I think they could have tacked on another 15 minutes, build up some character more, so I can feel more at the end. Because knowing Disney Pixar, I kind of expected a gut punch. I got that, but it didn't hit me the best way it could have. But that's just because I think the movie could have been longer. And that's almost a compliment. But yeah, the story itself is really original and feels very Disney Pixar-y. And yeah, I had a fun time watching it. It was a big surprise because I didn't really have any expectations for it. And yeah, coming in at number 3 is The Invisible Man. Wow, this movie just really surprised me. The sequences where Elizabeth Moss is basically being dragged around by the invisible guy are really cool to look at. They are shocking. There are tons of great twists and turns in this movie. There's some points in this movie where I'm like, where is it going to go from here? It's sometimes the best fear that a movie could put in an audience is the fear of not knowing. And that movie succeeds at it very, very well. All the characters are great. I remember tons of moments from this movie. And yeah, the pure fear that someone invisible can put into you is really good. There's so many iconic shots and scenes from this that I could already think of in my head already. And yeah, I really enjoyed Invisible Man. It's probably one of the better horror movies I've seen in a long time. Coming in at number 2 is The Five Bloods, and that was released about in June, and it's directed by Spike Lee, and it didn't really make a lot of people's radar, but I watched it, and I really loved it. I just don't know how no one's talking about Delroy Lindo's great performance. He better be nominated for the Oscar for a supporting role. And yeah, I really love this movie. It has a lot of grit to it. There is a lot of message behind how World War III and how African Americans were put in the front lines, and I didn't know it. This movie was definitely a history lesson for me when it came to the flashback sequences and the real life footage that they put in here, which is really, really shocking. Like, really shocking. And there is one shot in this movie, it's more of a picture, and I don't know, and just because of that, I don't know if I could even recommend it to an average person, because it just does not hold back, and it really lets you know how terrible the Vietnam War was for African Americans. And it is a fantastic movie, and I could not strongly recommend it even more. Like I said, the whole cast gives a fantastic performance, and yeah, the action sequences, which I was surprised I had to say action sequences because I didn't really expect any action out of this movie, is shocking. It makes my jaw drop at many moments. Like I said, this movie does not hold back. If they want to kill a character, they'll just do it like that. And like I said, very realistic and very shocking. Coming in at number 1 is my personal favorite movie of the year. I know this is not gonna really, well, it will shock people, but it's probably, if you know my channel, you know what movies I've seen. So, you guys probably know what it is for the people that watch, but I am surprised that this is my number 1. And my number 1 movie of the year is Tenet. I am a huge Nolan fan, I will admit that. And yes, this movie is not perfect, and I know a lot of people don't think it's perfect, and I know a lot of people won't even have this on their top 10 list. But heck, I love the visuals in this movie. I'm one of those people that love breaking down a large, thick plot of a movie, because I know that all the answers are there. I just have to look for them. And that's my favorite type of movie, where I know my answers are in the book, but I just have to look carefully. And like I said, the first time I watched this movie, it was unfollowable because I didn't watch it in theaters. I watched it on my iPad on a site I wasn't supposed to watch it on. And it was crappy audio. And this movie has crappy audio mixing in the first place. But then I watched it again about a couple weeks ago with subtitles on a nice 4K display and 5.1 surround sound. So then I was in it from beginning to end. After me watching it the first time, I understood the plot mostly. And so once I understand the movie, it was just such a fun time. Like I said, Christopher Nolan is my favorite director. My favorite movie of all time is Interstellar. And so it is a bias, and I will admit that. It is a bias why this is my number one. But it's my number one. I can do whatever I want. It's my channel. But yeah, I personally enjoyed Tenet the most this year. So yeah, anyways, that's all 21 movies I saw this year ranked. So yeah, anyways, comment down below what are your top 5 or top 10, worst or best, or do whatever you want in the comments. So yeah, anyways, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.